My name is Peter Bishop. I'm the Executive Director of Teach the Future, which is a nonprofit organization which is bringing foresight and futures thinking to young people in high schools and in colleges so that they can prepare for the future. Strategic foresight is a new way of thinking about the future. The future came along to be a real concept several hundred years ago, actually, when the Industrial Revolution gave people the experience of change in their life, that their lives were different than their parents, their grandparents, and then they realized, well, my gosh, my children's life are going to be different than mine. So they started thinking about the future. We wrote science fiction, and then in the 20th century, we created professional forecasting like econometrics and strategic planning so that companies and organizations and governments could make plans and act to improve the future. That's fine, and that was very much of an advance. What happened, however, since then, is that change began to speed up, and things got really difficult and very uncertain. The old techniques, the standard techniques of the 20th century, don't take uncertainty into account. They believe the future will be pretty much linear and pretty much straight line deterministic from the past. Well, that's not true anymore as we experience these disruptions over and over again. So strategic foresight uses the traditional forecast, but it adds an element of uncertainty and an element of surprise. And in fact, we use our imaginations to imagine different futures, not just the ones that computers tell us about. We believe that people who have been educated in futures thinking, we call it futures literacy, the ability to understand change and to respond to change in an effective and a productive way. Amazingly, given the amount of change that we have in the world today, that rarely occurs in schools or in colleges. Most of it is about the things that have happened in the past. Wonderful things, scientific things and historical things. But who is really telling students about the changes that are going on today and how they could emerge? We believe that people in work and in adult life need to deal with change all the time. Anyone who is beyond, let's say, 35 or 40 years old has had to change at least once in terms of their career, and even within the same career, use new tools and new procedures. And a lot of them say, wait a minute, they never told me about this in school. They didn't, because school didn't know about that. But nor did it tell them that they would have to be change agents themselves in order to be successful in life. We want to get that message to students early enough so they can learn how to deal with change and be successful in a changing and indeed an uncertain future. It is a game changer, not can be, it definitely is. Yes, I arrived at the University of Houston not realizing that they had already created a degree called Studies of the Future. I was a sociologist. I was studying social change, but all the change that I was studying were the changes going on in the present. I was teaching courses about changes in economy and changes in politics. I'd never even thought while I was teaching those, why don't I teach about potential changes in the future? And it wasn't until I got to University of Houston where the faculty there was doing exactly that, and I learned from them that you can do this, and you can do this well in a rigorous academic way and give people a sense of what may be coming so that they can prepare for it now. Every field that any university is teaching, and in this at Nicolaus Copernicus, there is the fields of cybersecurity and business and various things like that. So there is a path to each of those things. I hope that students understand that business was not always the way it is, or science was not always the way it is. We should know about the past, but they should also appreciate the fact that the business will not be the same in the future. And we do not know exactly what it will be, but we can imagine different futures. And the way I talk about it is being conditioned, not so much to predict what's going to happen and therefore make a response, but to get ready for change even though we can't predict what it's going to be. That is really the value that I believe. And this university is ideal in a place like this, a new university, with this as a goal that every student should have a sense of the future of their field and the future of themselves in that field before they graduate from this university. Well, someday every university will have a strategic foresight degree, maybe, or even at least classes. Just like every school has classes in history and science. I hope, I believe, and we work towards the fact that every school should prepare students explicitly for change, for uncertain change, and for the future. So if you want to get ready and get ahead of the game today, you come to SGMK and see what it's like to learn about the future, because we know we can do that now. We couldn't have done this 50 years ago. We can do it now, and you can come to this university and get that knowledge.